From the comics newsroom, it's time to get you wired in and get your daily dose of the comics news, hosted by Mr. Anderson, who is the unboxable, uncanny, advocating creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish monsters and more. Join him and his co-hosts as they give you the news coming off the Comics News Wire. Brought to you in association with... Subscribe to IndieVolt.com to recharge your fandom and to get an education. Be sure to check out all of the IndieVolt programming on the Nines with hosts like Randy Zimmerman, The Kid, Varian Grant, The Indie Princess, with more hosts and shows to come. ComicBookAdvocates.com is the global digital Comic-Con, but it's more than that. And you can be more too. Be more than just a fan. Become an advocate for comics like ComicBookAdvocates.com is for their creators, for their crowdfunding, for the very books they're creating, because we love comics.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. We're starting off nice and hot. We're going to take away this and so everyone can see my beautiful face. How you doing, Rob?
Good. How you doing?
Don't adjust your station. It is two beautiful Robs on this station at one time. It is true. Robs just look good. We're good people. Welcome to the show. We're here to talk about your fulfillment. Exciting news. You just got off a Kickstarter when?
It was the end of, actually mid-July. That we ended, and had to go through the whole process of collecting the surveys and getting everything ready, and now we are in the middle of fulfillment.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that we're already talking about it. I mean, like you said, you got off in July. You're already fulfilling. That's amazing compared to some of these other campaigns. So talk us through the process. Where are you at? How are you doing it? Give the viewers something to hear.
Yeah, so the reason I'm able to get these out so fast is that I had the book printer ready before I even launched my Kickstarter. So that way I could hit the ground running when it ended. And as soon as it fully funded, and I sent it off to the printers, and they got it back to me within a couple weeks. All of the rewards, everything all came in pretty quickly. The only things I'm still waiting for, which should be this week, is some of the apparel items that were ordered. They just had a little bit of delay just due to the whole pandemic thing. They have a smaller workforce there. But other than that, I mean, everything else is on par, and it kind of works out with the packing and everything. Just for the fact that it takes a long time to pack a couple hundred comics into so I'm using like the diamond or the Dymo cardboard packing, and then I'm sliding them into extra bubble wrap to kind of give a little extra protection. So they're not only are the comics being bagged and board, and then they put it into the cardboard and into the bubble wrap. So those will be extra protected. That way no one can bend those once they get to the mailbox, because I know there are horror stories out there of books being ruined. I didn't want that to happen with my rewards for my backers, or my wolf pack, as I like to call them.
John, are you coming on? If you are, message me. John is starting a Kickstarter action today. So really quick, John, not a Kickstarter, start Indiegogo. If you want to come on the show, just message me, and I'll send you the link, because we're not opening up just yet because we have some great guests, and I'm including you. Sorry, Rob.
No worries. It's all good. So yeah, right now I'm about 25% packed up. I'm hoping today, I took the day off of my full-time job to kind of get a good head start on everything. I'm hoping to at least get 75% done packing and run to the post office, if not this afternoon, first thing in the morning, and then just keep on going until we're all done. I got, not only did I have the regular size comic pack, I also have this was actually a full-size 11 by 17 original hand-drawn cover that Chris Williams did that's going out to one of my backers, as well as one of our mystery, well, I have several of these boxes here, but these contain our mystery boxes. But they're also bubble wrapped inside a box so that they are protected and collectible.
Let me ask you, one of the things no one ever talks about, and I think I touched on this once, is preparing your supplies by going to shop for bulk and stuff like that. Is that something you do?
Yes,
do the Costco.
I use a lot of different vendors. Basically, what I do is I try and shop around for like the best pricing. So this time, like I said, I use the Dymo mailers. Before I used, I think it was little stamp mailers, but they aren't using that tooling anymore. So I had to switch vendors, and which is fine. Just gave me that. I had to do an extra step with the bubble wrap, which I got through Uline. There's a lot of different sizes. So, I highly suggest when you're looking at your books, keep in mind the size of your books and the size of your packaging before you go in there. So it helps to have like an 18-inch ruler or or even a tape measure if you don't have one of those. Just knowing your sizes going in and giving a rough estimate of what you think you're going to fulfill versus what you're actually going to fulfill. So don't place your orders for your fulfillment packaging until after you get your final numbers. But it helps to plan ahead, just to kind of give yourself a bulk, obviously for your Kickstarter, or your Indiegogo or whatever crowdfunding you're using. You need to know what the shipping is going to cost you ahead of time so you don't go in the hole with printing and everything else.
Now, with shipping, do you use something like stamps.com? Because I know I use that and it helps. It really does.
It does, yeah. I use ShipStation, which it buys the stamps through stamps.com. But I tried the free trial that they had. It was like a month trial, I believe, the last Kickstarter that I did. And I think if you go to ShipStation/TV was the free trial. And so I did that, and it seamlessly, at first it didn't seamlessly work. Like, so with Kickstarter to BackerKit, BackerKit didn't have a integration at the time with ShipStation, but they do now. So now I didn't have to manually export and import. They talk to each other. I just had to click a button and it sent all my orders to ShipStation. So they're all sitting in the queue waiting for me to print the labels out, which is really handy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring on two of our other guests. You can hang as long as you want for the conversation. I just know how busy it is to do what you have to do. Like, I mean, you took a day off from work.
Yeah.
That's how bad.
Yeah, I'll hang out for a little bit.
All right. So we're going to bring on Odin, who's at the Starbucks.
How's it going, guys?
Good, how you doing?
Anything too embarrassing, like no talking about penis size, just in case he's on speaker.
Luckily, I've got these on.
John.
Hey,
what
Mike.
is going on, everybody? Good morning.
Long time no talk to, John.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
like an hour.
Yeah, about.
So, Michael, you just did all of your campaign fulfillment. How much did it hurt doing it for the first time? And take notes, John. This is the stuff that we all can learn from each other. Some good ideas coming up.
Initially, it didn't hurt too bad. Like, there's the big thing was the monotony of getting everything packaged. But what ended up really sucking was when I had initially launched my campaign, international shipping rates were a lot lower. And so when I shipped to my international backers, those prices had jumped. So I ended up losing money on international.
Oh.
Because that was just I had planned for it best as I could, and then the rates jumped. So like whereas before I had like a blanketed 10 that would cover like the difference on shipping when I started, because most of the packages for domestic were anywhere between $4 and $8. So like all those extra dollars would have gone towards that international shipping. Because I wasn't expecting a lot of them. And I had around 40 people international. So it would have made up for it normally. But the international shipping is like I averaged it out between all of the people. It was around $23 to $25.
Mm-hmm.
So like I got hit bad on that. And that's actually a big reason why our second wave of shipping has gotten a little bit delayed, because I have to go out of pocket for that. So because we used up all of the rest of our money that I had for shipping to do international, which was rough. But I mean, you live and you learn. You just got to make sure that you continue to keep that in mind for things. So like on the next campaign that we're launching here on the 22nd of this month, we're charging $25 for international shipping, and like I'm throwing in some like small things to say thank you for it, because it's essentially you're paying for a whole other book at that point. And so I want to make sure that the international backers don't feel like they've been kind of ripped off. So yeah, that was like the big thing for fulfillment on me on that first campaign. It just absolutely sucked.
All right. Now, I'm going to mute you, Mike, just so we get rid of some background noise, and we're going to bring up John. John, how's it feel? You're live.
I'm fine. I'm good. This is my third crowdfunder, really.
Yeah, I know. You've got a history of this, but this is your first Indiegogo, right? Or...
No, this is my second Indiegogo.
Oh, okay.
I did a Kickstarter last year, and then right on the tail of that, I did an Indiegogo campaign.
Okay, got it.
So that's how I handled that. First, I wanted to see if I thought Kickstarter would be the thing that would be good, and then what I did was I had a low a threshold for Kickstarter. Then I wanted to see if I fulfilled that. Then I said, okay, well, let me see if I could do Indiegogo, and I had the minimum of $500 so that I could go to the in demand if that kicked in. So that's what I did, and so yeah, it wound up pretty good in both cases. I think I raised between the two about $75,000 to $8,000 between the two campaigns, but that was for a pure piece, of artwork, and it wasn't comic books. It was my career, so there was a lot of original artwork that I showed from the old days, from Boba Fett and what have you. So anyway, but this is very different. I wanted to introduce myself to the comic book community with that rough sketch with my portfolio, so they could see who I was, what I've done, and when I figured I would launch my John the Animator comics, then I would have a history for people to look back on, and also have done the crowdfunding prior to doing this one here.
I think that it's fantastic that you've joined us, and tell them about your pedigree. I don't think people understand that right now we're in just a room with someone who's fantastically talented. He's the most talented person in the room, and I say that knowing that the two gentlemen with me beyond John are very talented people. John, tell them a little bit about your career.
Well, I animated the original Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special, worked on Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, Rock and Rule, the video games, He-Man and She-Ra, Batman commercials. I've done pretty much everything that there is. So I did comic books, and did on the side for myself, and for had a small syndicated. Well, it wasn't a syndicated. It appeared in a comic magazine called Comic Relief back in about 1989-90. That was the original Mega Moose, which is one of the two characters I've brought back to for my John the Animator comics. So I've done published 5 crime fiction novels back in the 90s, and did we were distributed through Ingram, and so we were in Barnes and Noble, Baker and Taylor. We were everywhere, and so I'm bringing all that together to my comic books and what I know to do. So,
and I got to commend you. You're someone like me who thinks kids need to be given materials that are not just entertaining, but aren't pandering to them, don't talk down to them. Those are super important aspects of my comic book, Cat Den Supermom. And even my earlier one, Jax the Anderson, was very simple, but it never talked down to the characters. It was just very simple because it was meant for a very younger audience. At that point, my son was 3. Can't use a lot of big words for a 3-year-old, so I was mindful of that. But I love the fact that you're re-energizing the youth. Why? Why this focus on that?
Well, because first of all, they are under, they've been forgotten. Essentially, the innocence and whimsy are elements that no major comic book company or even independent creators feel comfortable doing, or even think it's worth doing, because everybody's so focused into a much more sophisticated market. And I think that comic book, without the young kids reading comic books as a hobby or as a getting used to it, they're just not going to, once they've veered off and grown into other directions, you can't get them back in, because now you're competing with them on a different level. Comic books are something where they pick it up, smell it as a child, they can bite on it, they'll draw on it, but then they'll look at it and go, oh wow, and they can study it. I mean, I grew up with bigger comic books. I mean, in terms of today's, even the comics are thinner and smaller. I remember 52 pages as a regular thing, but they were also bigger. Sunday Funnies, broadsheets from where they were. On one of my blog posts, I showed the difference between the New York Times Today, which is the biggest broadsheet that you can get, versus what it used to be, and is at least 50% bigger back in the day. So you were really being able to study comics. It's very visual. It does allow you to immerse yourself into that. And that's why I'm making my comic book. The books I'm doing are the A4 version, which is 8.5 or 8.25 by 11 3/4 inches big. It's much bigger than your standard comic book, and is even bigger than a regular magazine, actually. So. So that's why I'm doing it in that way. But I feel that children are the seedlings. If you do not give them material that they can get excited about, they're not going to look at the stuff that you're trying to put through for 13, 14, 15-year-olds. And, you just comic books have just basically been the industry, and even creators have been eating their tails. That's basically what's been happening. So the whole thing where it's catered to the same group of people with money, and don't think about how books that are for a general audience, are important for young kids to come into. I mean, the Snuffy and Zoe books are from ages 4 to 7. I don't talk down to them. It's about two sibling bears. They get bored. They go into their room. They play into their magic toy box. They they go into it, actually into their imaginations, and play with what they have, and have all kinds of adventures. Stealing cupcakes from a dragon, looking for their lost soccer ball in the toy box, but they wind up being attacked and captured by pirate balloons. Pirates made out of balloons. So that's the kind of stuff. But I don't talk down to them. It's very straightforward. You go on, if you watch and you see what just from my page, what Snuffy and Zoe, their dialogue is not like, oh golly gee, it's kind of like kids that would talk up to each other on a certain level. There are pecking orders. There are things where they play against each other and they argue and what have you, but it's not about sugar and spice and everything nice. So I'm not talking down. Mega Moose it's really Nikki Nardson. Mega Moose is a series that's aimed at 8 to 12-year-olds. And it's about a nerd who's always bullied at school, and he gets a magic feather, and by tickling his nose, he sneezes, and he turns into a giant minotaur character with all the powers of the animal kingdom. But the thing about it is that nobody believes that he has the powers, which is a frustrating thing because he's trying to be somebody in school, but no one believes him. So those are the elements that I play with. It's all about creativity. It's all about having adventure. There are no lessons. There are no school handouts to what did we learn on this. I just want them to have fun, which is the way I read my comic books. So maybe this is an old man talking, but I think we need to have that kind of material for kids to be interested in.
I agree. There you go. Completely. Yep. And on this right, you have your bet.
Yeah, that's my top tier for this campaign. I did Boba Fett busts drawing for the other campaigns. This time, to be different, I've got a full-sized figure holding his tuning fork rifle, and that's the way I drew him back in on the animation, on the holiday special. And so that's a full-size, I think it's 8.5 by 11-inch sheet of paper, and it pretty much covers the entire sheet, the drawing.
So let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What is the ultimate goal for this? An ongoing series? Are you looking to get it into a trade at one point, or are you just happy doing what you can as you can?
Well, the idea is to I've got 5 books. I've got 2 Snuffy and Zoe books. I've got the Mega Moose. They're all complete stories, and then some other elements, other books to go with it. But the idea is to do. I would like to be able to do turn out a Mega Moose every 6 months. A 26-page issue or 32-page issue. Don't know if I can do it, but at least try and do that. And keep the books in back stock for people to come and order as they can. The idea is for me to keep drawing and creating what I know how to do. And if I have an audience that feels the same way as I do, that's great. If not, well, that's the way it goes. But I'm not looking to be picked up or anything of that sort because, some other publisher will always have their finger in the pie. And I'm not, I've gone too, I've worked on too many projects where, I've had things kind of just messed up, and I'm not going to, deal with that anymore. So it's just me.
Well, after your career, I see no reason that you can't go out on your own and just enjoy what you're doing. So what would be the quickest way to find your project right now for those in our Indie Volt radio listening audience? It's on Indiegogo.
And if you've got the link somewhere here, up there on top, I'm trying to scroll. It's on Indiegogo. Just type in John the Animator Comics, and that's the Indiegogo campaign.
And we're going to put that in the links right now for you. And we do suggest that anyone listening on the radio audience subscribe to the Indie Vault YouTube channel to see this amazing comparison. You have Richie Rich, Casper, and sadly underpriced. Yeah. It's got a price tag on it too.
I was going through long boxes, and that's why I know
it wasn't you who did it. I know you wouldn't do that. This is what we get when we go to shows. Yeah. Richie Rich used to be at actual supermarkets. That's probably one of the books that was at a supermarket. Some clerk didn't see the 50 cents clearly written on it.
It was half-price books. That's what they did, But that's the difference. I put that up so that you could see the size comparison between a book in the 1980s versus what I'm doing now.
And yes, John's is bigger. I'm sorry, it just is. We have the proof.
Size does matter at times,
So thanks for being on. You're more than welcome to stay. We're going to go over some of the news in the network right now. Pops Van Zant was asking if we can show off anything, not anything, but something specific for him. So we're going to call that up for him right now. He has the Mojo Rising. He was asking if we can pop that on the screen for him and remind people that this is running out of time. And Michael, you know about this project, don't you, a little bit? I think you're on mute.
Yes, I do. So they've got about a little over 60 hours left on this campaign. This is a post-apocalyptic tale set in New Orleans. Looks great. The big thing that I follow with Mojo is that Jim O'Reilly is doing that prequel comic on it that they're going to be launching at some point here soon as well, I believe. But they've got a really great looking book here. I'm a backer myself. I got in here on the first week. Just a tremendous looking book. Not much else to say other than go, if you haven't already, go back it. Help get these guys, every single tier that we get on this helps these guys get one step closer to making this like the full-time thing. And we need these indie creators now more than ever, because there's so much turmoil on the mainline side of the industry. So people like the Mojo team, people like John, it's so important to make sure that we get these guys the support. Because John's doing this. I've had a chance to chat with John, and I'm actually doing a piece for him for the site that I work for. And John's doing this as a way to make sure that the legacy of comics doesn't die. And people like that are what define the indie genres. These people that recognize what the mainstream is missing and just putting out something great. And you look at John's projects there and you get this pure innocence, and it makes you feel like a kid again. I was flipping through the images for why am I blanking? Goodness gracious. I'm only one cup of coffee in, guys. For Snuffy and Zoe, and it takes you back to a time where you used to play with your toys, when you were a little kid and you had little adventures with your favorite toys. And that's what it is. And it's this pure and beautiful thing. And that's indie comics for you. Is things like that, things like Mojo Rising that you would never see in the mainstream because everybody's too focused on the big characters to really give a new idea a chance. So make sure that you go out there and back Snuffy and Zoe and Mega Moose. Make sure you go out there, back Mojo Rising. Help these guys keep putting out new content.
Absolutely true. And we're gonna definitely have both those links. If you guys just look right now, you can see them in our chat room. And speaking of our chat room, we're going to head over to our newsroom, which is going to be covering all different things. And you can see, John, you're already in our newsroom. We already got you in our newsroom, so everyone gets to see that. We're going to do some comments, though, right now before we head out to the newsroom to fully start covering stuff, just in case anyone has any questions. I want to make sure we answer. All right, we have Sarah. We have Sarah. Sarah says, good morning. Of course, there you are, John.
Yep.
Pop says, Rob versus Rob. I see a book there. Forget Rob versus Rob. It's Rob plus Rob. Rob squared, man. We're going to take over Robs will rule the world. Just you wait and watch. Dwayne, Showtime Robinson says, good morning. Good morning, my man. Pops Van Sant says, Michael. Apparently he's saying hello to you. And hi, John.
Hi, Pops.
Meredith says, good morning, friends. I feel like we're a kid's show now.
This is Romper Room. Hold up your mirror.
Yeah, woo. I liked Romper Room, man. I enjoyed that. I want an adult version of Romper Room now that I'm getting older.
It is. It's called YouTube.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to make my son watch all the stuff I grew up watching. He's not watching anything new. I've got him sitting down watching Looney Tunes. So, and not like the new Looney Tunes. I mean the old,
the classics.
The classics, yeah. Pops Van Sant says, I love John. You have an admirer, John. He is one of the people who make it easy to keep the grandkids comic fans. That's true. That's true. Without young comic fans, there won't be a next generation of buyers. And I think we're actually experiencing that right now in comics where there's not that middle group. I talk to these teenagers and they're like, I don't read comics. I read anime. And I'm like, well, do you like the Hulk movies? Do you like the Captain America movies? Do you like the Avenger movies and Batman movies? And they're like, yeah. It's like, try reading the comic book. And I'll sit and I'll talk to them. Because I never ask anyone if they're a comic book fan. I ask them why they're not. And I think that's a lot more telling because you open a conversation. And that's what the industry has not done. Open a conversation with younger readers. Because we're not challenging them. I saw something today and it broke my heart because I'm a fan of Transformers. Transformers teamed up with My Little Pony. And I, as a fan of Transformers, was like, ooh, you don't do that. But as the
market did that because of Death Battle, 100%, because they had the Starscream versus what's her name, the big person from Death Battle, and she won. I'm not even.
You're talking about that. Yeah. You need to go to and find like a My Little Pony person.
I understand. It was just that's exactly why they did it. I guarantee it is because that episode of Death Battle was watched like crazy.
Well, I think it's a smart marketing idea no matter what. I think that when you find a way to invite different fans, now because My Little Ponies is a very usual female-centric show. It's for little girls. But now boys get to see My Little Pony, and there's nothing wrong. If my son wanted a little pony, guess what he'd get? A My Little Pony. Don't care. I only care that he gets excited about what he's consuming. And, I hate SpongeBob. I hate him. If it was up to me, I would throw him under a sun lamp and watch him slowly dry and disintegrate. My son loves SpongeBob. So do you know what I had to do? I had to learn the character's name. I have to sit and watch it with him.
I'm right there with you, Rob.
I want to be
obsessed.
I want to be with my son, sitting there and experiencing things with him so we can share opportunities. So when I want to show him something, he'll be more open to it. And even though he's an autistic kid, he understands that I sit and watch what he likes. So he understands we take turns. And with comics, that's what you have to do too. You have to take turns. I remember when Spider-Man used to be a book that anyone could read. And that was the point of a Spider-Man book. It wasn't supposed to be dark. You had certain comics that were darker. So when Spider-Man went to that darker issue, it was meant to show Spider-Man in a different light than the regular comic. John's right. We stopped catering, acknowledging, even considering the fact that younger readers should be reading comic books. Mm-hmm. And I think Marvel and DC are playing catch-up now, and John's ahead of the game. John already knows what they're missing. That you don't talk down to kids. Every time they do something like the superhero girls thing that failed so badly, they took real serious characters and just, nothing about what made them famous. They like kidified them, not understanding it. But you go watch a Transformers cartoon now, that stuff's deep. Like that new Netflix thing, and my kid's excited, jumping up.
That new Transformer show is phenomenal. Really well done.
And Randy Zimmerman says John is awesome. Can't wait to read his books. Yeah, I know Randy. Like, I'm surprised Randy hasn't bought like 5 of the exclusive prints yet from you, John.
I think Randy's John's #1 fan. Like he's totally that guy. That's like every single time. Like Randy talked like before I got a chance to meet John. We would be hanging out in the green room after shows, and he'd be like, "You guys got to meet John. You guys got to meet John." He's just the coolest
I'm blushing here. I am blushing here.
I don't know. I think Luke might give him a run for his money. Luke was telling me, like, tell me about He-Man. John, tell me about He-Man. John, tell me about He-Man.
Yeah, that's the time I grew up. I have all the He-Man and She-Ra cartoons like on DVD box sets, just like on my.
Yeah, I mean, even the new She-Ra, credit where credit's due. I thought they did a pretty good job of updating it. What did you think of it, Johnny?
I can't because I don't subscribe to the various shows. I kind of thought, for me, there's a certain point where once you start updating something, it reaches a point where you're no longer updating, you've just changed it. And so therefore, you should have just made a brand new universe and nobody would have bothered. You would have had 2 audiences, not destroy one.
Are you talking about Thundercats? I'm just
I don't care. All I'm talking about the She-Ra stuff. You
just said everything every Thundercats fan thinks about Thundercats Roar.
Yeah.
Oh, and I tried. I watched Teen Titans. I hated Teen Titans at first. Teen Titans Go. Thought it was trash. My son loved it. And I started getting into it. Okay, the jokes are funny. I watched Thundercats Roar, and I'll be honest, I went to the bathroom and threw up.
Yeah.
I threw up. My childhood was so affected. I was in the corner.
It's really bad.
It was that bad.
It is a lack of imagination. The creative muscles are, because what they're saying is, hey, let's screw around with Coca-Cola formula. Let's do that. Let's say, oh, it's got to be new. Let's toss out everything that we all enjoyed about Coca-Cola. So, it took them a long time to recuperate, but at least they did that. But the problem is that unless first of all, you tee off all the people who kept the franchise alive, just the memories, because that's what it was. Now you start saying your memories are no longer valid. Cut it off, and that is just dumb.
Yeah, I honestly think that the golden standard of doing a reboot was the severely underrated and underwatched 2011 reboot of Thundercats, where they straight up got the original voice of Lion-O to play Lion-O's dad in it. They gave it a cohesive storyline where it wasn't just like your standard. Like they kind of modernized it because that modern audience likes that streamlined narrative as opposed to each episode is its own contained. So they gave it like a full-on storyline, made the animation kind of a blend between Western and anime, and brilliant voice cast. Like it felt like old Thundercats with like a fresh coat of gloss on it, and I was just like, this is so good.
Mike, I'm just going to have to step on your toes for a minute. We do have to get to the news where we've been talking. Yes. We only have 20 minutes left, and this is breaking news. Actually, I don't know if you guys even know this. This just came up. And this is going to blow your mind. Okay, I'm going to ask the room before we even look at this. With 74 backers, 109 backers, what is the most you think a campaign can make with just 109 backers?
Depending on if there are original art perk tiers, where you have like a lot, like you're selling each of those original pieces between 400 to 1,000, depending on the artist. Maybe 3,000.
Rob, most that 117 backers can make.
I would say at least around 8,000.
John, how much do you think 120 backers? And yes, notice the numbers are jumping quickly. while we're talking. How much is the most you think 120 backers could make your campaign on Kickstarter?
On a Kickstarter? Well, I mean, I've seen. I mean, if you're talking about somebody like Earthworm Jim or something, or
this is bigger.
Oh, okay.
This is a big moment. I didn't even know this was going to happen. This snuck out of nowhere. Kickstarter just sent out an email. If you guys are subscribed to Kickstarter, you might have gotten the email with the big news. I didn't even know this was going to happen.
I have no. It's just $500,000.
Look at that go! This just launched.
What?
16.
Oh well.
Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
has just launched, and it is going to the stratosphere.
Yeah.
I started watching this 5 minutes ago, and I was letting everyone finish up the thing before I cut in. It had 75 backers 5 minutes ago. This just apparently launched all of an hour ago. This is how insane is that? But what I love about this moment is how many of these backers are from outside of Kickstarter. How many new people are now being brought into Kickstarter because of Keanu Reeves? This is a golden moment for Kickstarter. He's going to make his goal by the time this show ends.
Mm-hmm.
He is tracking right now.
Yeah.
I am not refreshing. That is Kickstarter trying to keep up, which means we're behind.
Yeah.
No one can ever tell me about their success on Kickstarter and impress me after watching this. This is going to be $1 million project, easy.
Yeah.
This is going to make $1 million. Because, I mean, you haven't had it go out in Hollywood Reporter. I follow the news. I literally cover news. I didn't know they were going to Kickstarter. This is out of nowhere. No pre-press. Did any of you guys know he was going to Kickstarter?
Last I heard, what he was working on was Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah.
No, I knew about this comic because there was some controversy because they replaced the artist, and there's been no official word on why they replaced the artist, but the artist was replaced. And because there's no official word, I won't speculate. But oh my goodness, literally less than 10 minutes, over 100 backers. I want to grow up and be Keanu Reeves. I mean, he can get this much money on, and we'll come back and check it out. But we do have some other news I definitely want to check. So we are a strict 1 hour show. So, and I haven't even done any bumps today. It's been such an exciting day. Remember, if you have news you want us to cover, we have an actual mail room now on our post, which is the Newsroom Prime. And why do I name it Prime? Because I'm a Transformer fan, and I named every main room Prime from now on. I should make the sub rooms Bumblebees. But yeah, you can send us your information today. And the first thing up on our agenda today, of course, is always going to be the indie news. And that is brought to you by the Comic Book Advocates Network on Facebook. And we're excited to bring you all the stuff that is turning the pages in indie comics. Of course, John.
Yes.
Launched this campaign. I was on top of it. I was waiting for it this morning. I've been up since 7 in the morning. I don't know how, but he somehow beat me at some point today. You got it live while I wasn't looking, and I came back and I was like, darn. I wanted to put it up like right away, and people had already been sharing it. I was like, I wanted to be the first. A decade of awesomeness. Do you guys know Victor Dandridge?
No.
Okay, Victor Dandridge is the hardest working man in indie comics or comics in itself. He's been around for 10 years. He's done every position in comics that you can be part of at this point, except for working for a Marvel and DC, and I'm sure that's going to be coming in the next years to come. So a decade of awesome. I'm sure more is coming. You'll like this, John. Scout Comics is actually debuting Scoot Comics in January of 2021. That's going to be headed up by Stabby Bunny creator, a personal friend to the site, and myself. Richard Rivera is now in charge over there. This is exciting news. I'm sure that we're going to hear some great things coming out of there with him, because he, like you, John, really cares about the kids reading comics and the appropriate content, making sure it's great. I'm so excited by this news. And a final piece from the art collection, Shadows of Ourselves. So my good friend J.R. Mounts has been doing these amazing pictures where your shadows show things. So you'll have like an old man who's dying in his bed, but you see his shadow as this powerful, strong man kind of showing the background. And he says something really beautiful, and I wanted to read this out loud. Working it out, the final piece of the Shadows of ourselves art series is done. I started in black and white and ended with a dash of color. The most important part, the heart. The first piece I was inspired by, We Never Talk Anymore, was about a relationship losing connection and in difficult embracing their divided difficulty embracing their divided despite wanting much more with one another. It was a commentary about losing something special in a relationship while the shadows show that there is still love there, just buried. Here I end the series knowing there is hope and a beautiful resolution if we embrace it and find our connection again, no matter how it is done. Yes, we face sadness, we discuss it, we shed light onto it, but we also begin to heal and come back to what matters most in order to become one again. The whole series is about these and so many situations, some funny, some heartbreaking, all important, regular people, honest situations. That's what The Shadows of Ourselves is all about. What we started a year ago in August 2019 now ends exactly a year later, August 2020. Thank you for all the support. I'll be collecting 100 pieces soon in a crowdfunding campaign. Just got to let the economy recover a bit for some that want to participate in. I hope you've all enjoyed my work thus far, and I have. How beautiful is that? Telling stories with shadows. Huge fan of them. Huge fan. And that's it for Tuesday's information from the indie market. So real quick, guys, go around the room, tell people where they can find you as we switch over. Rob, tell them where they can find you, because we're going to come down to the wire on today's show.
Yeah, so you can find me at lonewolfcomics.com or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at lonewolfcomics.
And do you have those covers up?
Yep.
We got 2 exclusive covers. Well, I don't know if they're exclusive, but we have 2 great covers to share with you.
They haven't been seen too much yet. So just hit share screen.
Exclusive for your campaign. I don't want to put I don't know if these are going to be mass released or are they going to be collector's items, I guess is what I'm asking.
I think these will be the standards for now.
I got you. That's why I don't like to say exclusive when they're not. So share your screen with us, and we're happy to share it.
Can you see?
Not yet. Did you do the screen share at the bottom of the screen?
Yes, I thought I did anyway. Share. All
right, I'm going to give you a minute. You get that up. We'll let Odin tell people where to follow him.
All right, guys. Creator writer of Elysian Fields here, Michael Odin. You can follow me at Twitter at Elysian Fields _0. On Facebook, you can hit me up on Nine Realms Publishing. I'm no longer putting out my personal profile anymore because I've been getting way too many bot friend requests, and I've got a family to protect. Anyways, stay tuned for more stuff on Elysian Fields. We have a very exciting reveal coming to you guys here on September 11th. We'll be revealing our Support Our Troops cover that we'll be having for our special Support Our Troops package, and we can officially announce that that we have set everything up to donate all of our Support Our Troop pledges, the $10 per, to the Special Forces Charitable Trust. So keep an eye out. We hope to see you on the campaign.
All right, and John, just tell them where they can follow you, and of course we'll show your Indiegogo before we leave.
Okay, you've got the Indiegogo campaign. You can follow me on Facebook, John Celestri, on Twitter, Celestri John, at Celestri John, and I've got a blog that's I'm on YouTube as John Celestri, John the Animator Guy, and then also I have a blog that's johncelestri.blogspot.com. So you get me that way.
All right, and Rob's going to send me the pictures. So in the meantime, we're going to switch over back to our news while we get up those images for you. So right now it's time to do our mainstream news beat. This is where we watch the mainstream market. And of course, we'll give a quick look into and we'll look at it again before we leave. Here's where the Kickstarter is at right now. Keanu Reeves has made $37,000. $691 with 331 backers in what seems to be the first 2 hours of business. It is ridiculous. We'll check back in it before we go today. Okay, so sad news. Norman Spencer, voice of Cyclops in the X-Men animated series, has passed away. 2020 just keeps taking from us. Just a moment of silence. A moment of silence for him, guys. And, I watched that show, and it's always sad to see talent disappear. But on Batman Day, we can celebrate that Batman is still here, even if he doesn't have Robin as Damian anymore. Still heartbroken about yesterday's news. That'll be happening on September 19th. The coronavirus has not stopped the ability to have us having a Batman Day. So pretty exciting stuff. We're going to look at John the Animator one more time. Right here, you guys can get it. I'm going to show that exclusive print. Now, let me shrink it down just a tiny bit. So, John, you just want to tell us about this exclusive print real quick?
It's not a print. These are all hand drawings.
Oh, hand drawn. Sorry.
I'm doing. Those are. It's going to be pencil sketches that I do. For each person. So it's all, and it's. I'm sitting here drawing each one of them for you. It's on an animation paper, and on the side you'll see the animation punch holes there. And that's on 8.5 by 11. So you can frame it the way you want, or you just hold on to it, or whatever.
Now, how many of these? This is going to obviously this has to be a limited amount, right?
I've limited it to 100.
Gotcha. Oh.
That's a lot of hand drawing.
Well, actually, that would be less. I'm cutting back. Kickstarter had about there was about 80 of them, and then about 90 for Indiegogo. So I did 170, last year. So, sit down and you just crank. Remember, I'm an animator. We crank out a lot of these. This is what an animation pose is.
Huh? What you should do is have it animated with all 100 and make every 100 people get together, put it together, and try to animate it yourself. It'll be a legacy project. It'll be your legacy. Speaking of legacies, we also have some legacy photos here from, I guess, is this future meets past? Rob, walk us through.
So this is the soft cover for the trade paperback that'll be coming out in the next few months, collecting issues 1 through 4. So this is kind of like a collage of what was going on in those first 4 issues. So this is the rough line art. There's going to be more to it. There's going to be a back and front for this soft cover. But this is where Carlos Herrera is in the process right now for the trade paperback.
And just when you thought it couldn't get better, check this out.
So this is the spinoff series for Snowpaw, who is the female werewolf who is Nightwolf's mentor. This goes back to her origin story back in the 1900s in Scotland.
Yeah,
and that'll also be coming out soon.
And this is what we were talking about last time you were on the show. We were talking about how this series is going to be coming along, and this looks beautiful. I really like this.
Yeah, so this is I'm really excited about this. There's a lot of different aspects to the universe that I've been building around Nightwolf and my other characters, and this kind of opens it up more, but takes it kind of back a little bit farther so that I have more room to play with.
Yeah, and just, I mean, this is beautiful, dude. I can't wait to see what comes next from you. Just beautiful, stunning work. Great program today. We had John's work on the show. Like, you guys make me feel like I'm actually a professional by doing a show like this with all the talent in the room here today. Thank you. And quick shout out to Mojo Rising once again. Limited time left on this campaign. Pops wanted to give us a shout out, so go check out Mojo Rising, Darkness Rising issue 1. That's from Rog Mahan. Is it Rog, Mike? Is that how you say it? Rog? Rogue?
I think it's Raj, but I don't want to put anybody's. I don't want to put my own foot in my mouth with that. So we'll go with Raj, and then if he gets angry in the comments, I'll take that hate.
All right. So that's on him, and let's take one final look at this Berserker campaign. Let's see if it's officially funded.
So cool.
That's insane.
Yeah, such a great freaking cover there too. The moment you pull that up, it's like, all right, and now I'm going to go back my pledge.
Like, I don't even know if I want to back it at this point. I just want to wait till it comes out. This is clearly going to Walmart, you know?
At the very least, if not, like, I'd be surprised. Oh my God, are those the hardcovers, or is that just the soft trade?
I don't think this is I mean, there's 3 books here too.
Yeah,
So
all of the tiers have 3 books. They're doing 3. They're releasing 3 volumes at once, which is nuts.
No wonder it's jumping so fast.
Yeah.
And not look at this, just $2,499, guys. I've paid less for cars. I have paid less for cars than that.
All right. Maybe I'm underpricing my animation drawing.
And there's already 2 backers.
No, don't jack it up, John. I plan on getting one of those on the next paycheck.
No, it's already done. It's that's it. You know,
You're done, Odin. You should have backed it. You should have prioritized.
I don't have the money to back it this week. I was gonna do it next.
Did you really need gas this week? No, you could have walked, Michael. You could have walked.
No, I can't. I have an hour drive. That's like a 6-hour run.
Run then. Come on. Oh man, this is crazy. Some of these $500, like this is out of my level right here. Like I gotta keep scrolling. Like we're not even in my. Okay, here we go. $45. That's still a little high for my blood.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that it's 3 volumes. It's 3 graphic novels. Look at that.
It's
Includes
boom,
Berserk
isn't it?
Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And then I think I went for the $68 tier because I'm hoping that gets signed by Keanu because it's like the most expensive of the 3 basic tiers. So I'm hoping that's what it's not very clearly defined on there. So I mean, if it turns out that that's not the case, I'll just edit my pledge down to 45. But like this looks outstanding. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh man, I'm excited. Just because this will bring notoriety to comic books, people will talk about comic books, and I know Keanu Reeves was a fan of comics because he's talked about it in earlier interviews. So
he was being eyed by the MCU for a hot minute. I'm not sure if he still is, but I know that he really wanted to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he was he did an interview recently where he talked about like one of his dream roles was to play Wolverine, I think.
Yeah, I had seen that, so I'm blown away. I'm actually depressed. I'm gonna go get chocolate chip cookies like the Chips Ahoy Hershey ones and eat the whole pack because I'm never gonna be Keanu Reeves. $50,000 in 2 hours. Good.
Oh my God!
436 backers. This is setting records, man, and this is gonna beat Todd McFarlane. You're gonna see $1 million on this.
Todd, I think got to 2 million. So I don't know about that, but this is certainly going to give it a run for its money. I do think that this will definitely beat Ethan Van Sciver's Cyber Frog because this has way more.
That Todd McFarlane, I'm getting that that was my Father's Day gift from my wife, so I'll be getting that when they come.
I got it for myself as well. It was one of those things where it was like only like $40 or only $80 for it to be signed, like come with a signed placard.
All I need is my son on Father's Day. I don't know about you guys, but I get my kid a gift on Father's Day. Because without him, I wouldn't have Father's Day. Shame on you both.
Hey, I still have to pay for dinner.
Meredith even said, "Start walking earlier, Michael. You should have."
There's no chance in hell. There's no chance in hell that I'm walking from Manassas, Virginia, to Washington D.C. Not a chance.
I saw them do it in The Walking Dead. I mean, it's possible. All right,
that's when the Beltway was empty.
All right, guys, we're out of here because we're running out of time. Thank you all for showing up. Before we leave today, one quick thing, and I wanted to read this quote, and I want everyone to consider this who's hearing my voice. Tupac once said, "Just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. I'm bigger than that. I still want to see you eat, just not at my table." Think about that when you guys are kind of attacking each other online, that there's enough room here for everybody, and stop trying to get in each other's way.